morning, everyone, and welcome back to As You Pass By. I'm your host, James West, and today we're going to be looking at the synagogues of the East Village, which was formerly known as the Lower East Side. It was really a whole area from 14th Street down to Canal Street, maybe below Canal Street, but it's now currently referred to as the East Village. The northern part of the East Village, above, let's say, 8th Street, from 8th Street up to 14th Street, there are very few synagogues. There were a few at the time. There are some that the buildings remained, but it's kind of hard to tell that they were synagogues. So we're going to be taking a look at some of those. I've come across maybe 10 or 12 in the area above 7th Street. The number of synagogues increases considerably once you go below 7th Street. And then once you cross Houston Street and enter the Lower East Side, there are quite a lot. In fact, there's a map of the synagogues that some of them are abandoned and have been demolished a long time ago. But the map includes over 1,400 synagogues in those days. So, and the period we're looking at is roughly from about 1895 to about 1930. By then, the number of synagogues being built was greatly reduced, and by the time of the Second World War, there were very few new synagogues, and also by then a lot of the older synagogues were being abandoned, and people were moving to other neighborhoods. And the other thing I want to explain is that these synagogues are named after the town in Eastern Europe where the congregation originated. So a lot of them are from Western Ukraine and an area that was known as Bessarabia, which is basically the very far end of Western Ukraine, near Odessa, above that into Moldavia, which is now Moldova, and then slightly north. North of Moldova is also Western Ukraine. So, and I believe that it extended into Bessarabia, also included some parts of Romania, what was then called Wallachia, and later became Romania. And again, also, a lot of these areas either existed as part of one or another empire, mostly either the Russian or the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So there were a lot of borders shifting around between the late 1800s and the late 1940s. And there were two intervening world wars that also saw a lot of movement of borders, movement of people, death of people, and a vast, huge refugee situation, which began in the 1800s, but really didn't end until the late 1940s. We see a very different group of refugees from Ukraine who were arriving in the Lower East Side by the 1940s. They were mostly fleeing from the aftermath of World War II, and they were primarily not Jewish. They were Eastern Orthodox or Russian Orthodox. The Jewish migrants from Western Ukraine came here much earlier in the late 1800s and up until about around 1910 or even into 1920. So I hope you enjoy the tour. We're going to be taking a look at about 12 or 14 of these synagogues as they currently exist. I tried to capture images of buildings that are still standing, so I don't take a lot of, I've only taken one actually, video of a vacant lot. only because, well, anyway, I'll explain it in the video. But for the most part, I tried to capture the buildings that have survived to the present day. They may not look like they were used as a house of worship at that time, but that's what they were. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and remember to like and subscribe. I'll remind you again at the end of the program. And when you subscribe, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. So please enjoy. Take care. We are between Avenue B and Avenue C on East 8th Street. And this is 317 East 8th Street, which I can verify is a former synagogue. And this is the first one that I can be sure that it was, or that it is. And then also, I've been walking for 2 hours since 13th Street between 3rd Avenue and Avenue D, and this is the first one I can tell you for sure it is. We're out here in front of 313 East 10th Street, which was at one time known as the Independent Striere Benevolent Association. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, and these two buildings are, you can tell that they're companion buildings. The roof work is identical, this stamped into the metal, and these two sort of pillars that come down, one on 313, the other one on 315. But 313 was a synagogue, and the congregation was mostly from a very small town in western Ukraine. It's still there today, Striere. We're here at 57 St. Mark's Place, between 1st Avenue and 2nd Avenue. This is looking at the north side of the street. This is the synagogue that was here. Right across the street, we have 247 East 7th Street, which I can find out zero information about. I'm pretty sure it was a synagogue, but I can't verify it. And it also looks like it's been cropped a little bit. It looks like it was once a 4-window across building, and now it's 3. I say that for several reasons. This is 106 Avenue C. It's a bank building now, but it was formerly another Hungarian synagogue. I don't believe the building is, there are any remains of the building. And it's been a bank since probably around the 1930s. It was a credit union until recently. It's been closed for quite a while. This is 207 East 7th Street. And I can't really tell if this is the original structure or not. Here we are at 195 East 7th Street, just down the block from 207. And this is currently a Baptist church. And at the time, it was a synagogue in early 1910. And the name was the First Brodier B'nai B'rith congregation. There are several alternate names, so I'm going to see if what the most popular name was. This is 330 East 8th Street. It's no longer St. Mark's. It's 8th Street again. Anyway, this is the First Novosibirsk Bessarabian congregation. This is 330 East 8th Street, and I suspected that it might be a former synagogue, and my suspicions were confirmed. This was in fact. Bessarabia, of course, was the area. It's very rarely referred to anymore, but it was the area sort of between or around where Moldova is and the very southwestern part of Ukraine, near Odessa. So anyway, interesting mural here. So this would have been in existence around the 1910, 1907, around that time. This building is 242 East 7th Street. It's a beauty. This was, and I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing this, the Beth Hamadrash Hogadal. It was a Hungarian synagogue, which is a little unusual for this neighborhood, but it dates from the early 1900s, probably about 1901, and it's been repurposed. I think it's a residence.